From homeless to millionaire, the story of a black man who inspired Elon Musk and Donald Trump. David sat stiff on the cold park bench, his hands clenched like fists, holding on to memories no one else could see. Around him, New York's night throbbed, cars zooming past, heels clicking on sidewalks, laughter spilling out from some fancy restaurant just yards away. The air smelled like roasted garlic and expensive wine. David's eyes, dark and sharp, caught every detail. The tailored suits, the polished shoes, the emerald necklace sparkling on a passerby's neck. He swallowed the knot growing in his throat. Once, this world was his too, a vibrant artist, with canvases bright enough to light a room, dreams bigger than skyscrapers. Now he was just a shadow on a bench, invisible to most, a ghost with a story no one wanted to hear. What no one knew, but what would blow minds, was that David's story wasn't just about falling hard. It was about a rise no one saw coming, about Secret Mo. Inspired. Donald Trump. Connected. How? That's the mystery. Tonight, like every night, David watched as the doors of that restaurant swung open. The crowd shifted, a few whispers, a few curious glances at the man in tatters, sitting so close to luxury. Then the big man appeared, Donald Trump himself, larger than life, hair like a golden crown, a business king stepping into his lunch spot. People noticed. The air thickened with tension. Trump's eyes flicked to David. A pause. An awkward smile. He reached out, as if offering a handshake, or maybe a hand up. But David's gaze burned through deep suspicion. "I don't want your charity," David said, voice low but fierce. His refusal hit like an unexpected storm, a slap against the usual pity. Trump frowned, brow tightening. Words flew short and fast. Money, power, promises of help. David's reply was blistering. He spoke with anger born from years of silence, from watching hollow words shield walls of gold. Then, just when the noise seemed too much for the street to hold, David dropped the bombshell. "I'm your brother," he said, voice raw, trembling. "The one you never knew, the one you lost." The world seemed to shudder. Trump blinked hard, confusion cracking his confident mask. Blood ties tangled, decades of pain and secrets looming like ghosts between them. The man who boasted of deals and towers now faced a past he couldn't buy or build away. Around them, people stopped, whispers growing louder. Cameras flashed. The rich and powerful meeting the forgotten and broken. Two brothers split by a brutal, ugly life neither could fully explain, yet were doomed to face. What happened to their family? Why had history ripped them apart? And what dark thread tied their fates, more than just blood? David's chest tightened. Trump's jaw clenched. Neither moved, trapped in a sudden storm of hurt and disbelief, stuck on the edge of something that could break or bind them forever. The city held its breath. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important warning. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without notice. Take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content that's coming. And since you're here, drop a powerful like that really helps me with the algorithm. Oh, and let me know in the comments, what city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. David held his breath as the city pulsed around him. Time felt suspended, dangling between past and possible futures. Trump's face twisted, confusion wrinkling his brow, as if grappling with the integrity of this stranger's claim. The air crackled with the weight of unspoken words. Each heartbeat a drum of dread. The crowd encircled them, a living beast of W. David could sense the scrutiny, their eyes boring into him, hungry for drama, eager for the next act in this unfolding tragedy. Yet for him, this wasn't a stage. It was real, painful. The glare felt hot on his skin. "No way! You can't be my brother," Trump stammered, a king cornered by a ghost. His cool demeanor cracked like fragile porcelain. "What are you talking about?" "I'm talking about the truth, our truth," David pushed, feeling the fury rise in his throat. "Family ties don't vanish just because you ignore them." With every word, tension rose like steam from the pavement, thickening the air. People leaned in, their breaths bated, eager for an unfolding story. But just then, the moment shattered. A piercing scream sliced through the din. A woman's voice, frantic. "He's got a gun! Get down!" Chaos erupted. A figure broke through the crowd, wild-eyed and frantic, brandishing a weapon. The scene transformed instantly. David felt his heart race in sheer panic, his pulse an urgent drum in his ears. The crowd screamed, scattered like leaves blown by a storm. Trump's expression morphed from confusion to terror. He shoved David aside, instinct kicking in. "Get back!" he yelled, as people fell on top of one another, desperate to escape. But David didn't move. He couldn't. An icy grip clutched his chest. The world spun, the whispers now a cacophony of fear. The gunman waved the weapon frantically, shouting incoherent slurs about the rich, the powerful. In that chaotic moment, David locked eyes with Trump, and everything that mattered froze. Suddenly, like a bolt of lightning, the gunman pointed directly at Trump. You think you're untouchable. You're nothing." The piercing accusation reverberated in the air, heavy with an irony that stung. David's gut twisted. This frantic man was lost, and yet something about his words rang true, striking deeper chords. Before anyone could react, a shot rang out, splitting the night like a jagged bolt of thunder. David ducked instinctively, the ground vibrating under him. A gasp erupted from the audience, and time felt like it slowed to absolute stillness. Trump staggered, eyes wide, mouth agape. The crowd held its collective breath. A moment stretched into eternity. "No! No!" David screamed, scrambling to his feet, heart pounding with a newfound urgency. A fire ignited in his chest. Before he could think, he ran, tears prickling at his eyes. Through the chaos of bodies, he reached the man who had fallen hardest. A truth suddenly revealed. Trump wasn't just a figure of wealth, he was a brother, caught in a brutal game just like him. All around, the world buzzed with confusion, panic taking hold. The cops raced in, but for David, there was a deeper concern pulling at him. Was this moment a cruel twist of fate? Or the catalyst for the truth that had haunted their past? Two brothers trapped in a cycle of pain and misunderstanding, now intertwined in yet another tragedy. As sirens wailed, David felt the ground shift beneath him. Fear wound tighter than ever, but so too erupted something akin to hope. What if their connection could be ferocious enough to withstand this night? What if their painful histories weren't the end, but a beginning? The chaos swirled, tightening its grip, leaving everyone, David, Trump, witnesses, all wondering, what comes next? David's heart raced, pounding against his chest like a drum in a silent room. In that moment, a figure burst from the shadows, a woman, her hair wild and tangled, eyes wide with panic. She rushed forward, hands grasping David's arm. "David!" she cried, her voice raw with urgency. "You need to see this." Everyone turned to her, astonished. The din of chatter quieted, replaced by an eerie anticipation. David's pulse quickened even more. He knew her, Maya, a friend from his past, someone who had always seen the artist beneath his layers of struggle. Fear, etched on her face, made it clear something was terribly wrong. "David, it's not just about you. It's about our past. It's bigger than any of us." She looked over her shoulder, panic flickering across her features. They found something buried. Trump's attention shifted. "What do you mean? What did you find?" His arrogance faltered, curiosity igniting. "They found your mother's diary," Maya said, voice shaking. "And there are secrets in it, secrets that could change everything. It mentions you, it mentions your family, and it dives deep into a past I'm sure none of you want to face." The words hovered in the crisp night air, heavy and charged. David's dread surged. The last time he heard about that diary, it was lost, relegated to dusty memories and painful recollections. And now? Now it was a thing that could pull the threads of his life and Trump's together in ways they never imagined. The crowd buzzed with uncertainty. A woman in a sleek black dress whispered, "What does she mean?" Others echoed her confusion, voices overlapping, creating a cacophony of reactions. David's chest felt tight. "Maya, what are you saying?" He scanned her eyes, searching for clarity amidst the chaos. "What about our past?" Maya took a deep breath, her voice trembling. "It wasn't just your concern. It involves—" A sudden crash shattered the moment. A car careened around the corner, screeching to a halt just feet away. A hooded figure emerged, rushing toward them, eyes wild with determination. "Get away from him!" they shouted, pointing at David. "You don't know what you're dealing with." Panic erupted. People pushed back, some screamed. Others fumbled for their phones, capturing the chaos unfolding. Trump moved closer to David, protecting him as the tension thickened. The shouting figure paused, breathless, and yanked down their hood. "David, it's me! It's your sister, Ava!" The revelation crashed through the air like thunder. Silence. David's world spun. Another thread unraveled. Questions erupted in his mind. Where had she been? Why had she come now? He felt the weight of the past suffocating him. Secrets that linked him not just to Trump, but to a family he never fully understood. Ava's eyes brimmed with unshed tears. "They're coming for us! The truth! They can't bury it any longer. You have to listen." The crowd held a collective breath, eyes darting between the three of them. The shift was palpable. "Tell me," David urged, desperation leaking into his tone. "What do we do?" But before Ava could respond, the sirens grew louder, like a distant echo of the past. And in that moment, standing on the edge of revelation and chaos, Everything he thought he knew began to crumble, leaving only shadows and questions. The night felt darker, yet somehow brighter. A storm brewing that promised to wash away the old and reveal the new. What would the truth uncover? What lay buried in the ashes of their shared history? The answers were closer than they all knew, lurking just beyond the shadows, waiting to be unleashed. David's heart thundered, and he felt the world tilt beneath him. His sister, Ava, just as he absorbed the shock, he caught Trump's astonished expression, a blend of disbelief and something else. Fear? Recognition? David's mind raced. "Your sister?" Trump echoed, still processing. "You're just pulling tricks." "No!" David interrupted, his voice sharp. "This is real. I need to understand." Before another word could spill from their lips, Ava lunged forward, eyes darting. "They found the diary, but it's not just secrets. It holds something worse. There's a name, David, a name that connects us to—" The air felt electric. Whispers rippled through the crowd, eyes wide, mouths agape. Everyone was hungry for the drama unfolding. But the tension snapped then, crackled with urgency. Just as she continued, a loud crash erupted nearby. A truck! An unmarked, faded vehicle careened through the street, sliding sideways as it skidded to a stop. The crowd parted, people shrieking, scrambling. The door flung open, and a figure charged out, drenched in shadow. The crowd held its breath, uncertainty hanging like fog. "Get back! Everyone, move!" the figure shouted, panic filling the street. It was a man, unkempt, wild-eyed, and charging straight toward them. "Get away from her!" he screamed, pointing a finger at Ava. The sudden aggression sent shockwaves through David's frame. "What do you mean?" he shouted back, fists clenching, adrenaline surging. "Who are you?" "I'm here to protect her," he yelled, advancing with an urgency that looked desperate. "They can't know the truth. Not yet." Panic rippled across the space, eyes darting between faces. David, Trump, the crowd. Then, in a breath-stealing moment, the man froze. His gaze found David's, sorrow pouring out like a river. A flicker of recognition crossed his face, followed by sheer terror. "David!" he stammered, voice breaking. "It's me! It's your father!" Silence. The world came crashing down. David stared, heart pounding in disbelief. His father? The man he only heard stories about? A shadow in his memories. The man who left, vanished into darkness. The man he thought was lost forever. "Impossible!" Trump barked, his arrogance faltering. David's chest tightened, panic spiraling. "What are you talking about? I'm real. I wasn't just a ghost of your past, David. I was forced into hiding," the man pleaded, hands trembling. "I tried to protect you, both of you. But the diary, it's dangerous. It reveals everything." A pressing shout from the crowd cut through the moment. "What secrets? What's in that diary?" "It's not just our family," the man continued desperately. "It involves powerful people, people who will stop at nothing to keep it buried. I'm here because—" He abruptly faltered, glancing at the crowd with frantic concern. The tension thickened, anxiety rippled through. "Because they won't stop now," he finished, breathing hard. His eyes darted back to David and Ava. "Your lives are in danger. I came back to warn you." Shock swept through David, like a sudden winter breeze. Every shadow from the past now pinched at the edges of his reality, twisting the unknown into terrifying clarity. Who were they? What did the diary reveal about them? Trump shifted, stepping closer to Ava, confusion etched in every line of his face. "You can't be serious. You abandoned them," he sputtered, hatred clashing with a burgeoning understanding. "It wasn't by choice!" The man shouted, voice cracking. With that, the winds of history swirled around them, carrying treachery and agony, pulling each thread taut with every breath. Tension hung in the air, pushing against them. David's chest pounded, heart racing. He didn't know what to believe, but one thing was clear. The weight of the past had come crashing down, threatening to bury them all. What secrets lay buried in the diary? What truths could rip their fragile connections apart? And as sirens wailed faster and closer, the danger seeped into the very fabric of the night, leaving everyone wondering, who could they trust now? David's chest tightened as he stared into Trump's bewildered eyes. The glimmer of recognition flickered between them, but the world around them was stunned into silence. Their breaths mingled in the heavy night air. Suddenly there was a loud clash. A glass shattered nearby, breaking the moment like a fragile bubble. David looked to the source of the sound, a sleek black car sliding to a halt on the curb. A figure leaped out, dressed in a sharp suit, but with an unsettling urgency that felt wrong. In an instant, everything shifted. The stranger rushed toward Trump, eyes wide, mouth moving fast, but too muffled by the nighttime chaos. "Sir, we have a situation," the stranger yelled, pointing down the street. The crowd shifted again. Some took a step back, others leaned in. Trump's brow furrowed in disbelief, the sureness of his world teetering. "What do you mean?" he snapped. But the urgency won. David felt the tension ignite around them, the air thickening with anticipation and fear. Then it hit him. The news reports, the whispers on the street. David's heart raced. Had something happened? Was this family secret bigger than he'd ever imagined? The man's eyes darted between David and Trump, his breath quickening as if he realized the gravity of the moment. "They found her," he gasped. A sudden, deafening silence fell. People leaned closer, intrigued despite themselves. David's mind reeled. "Found who?" he managed, but his voice felt small, swallowed by the enormity of the night. "Their mother," the man blurted out, urgency spilling from every word. "She's alive, and she's in trouble. We have to go." David felt the ground slip beneath his feet. Memories surged like tidal waves, images of a woman, her laughter echoing in distant halls, a voice that once filled him with warmth. "What are you talking about?" he asked, confusion clouding his senses. Trump's expression morphed from shock to determination, abandoning all previous pretenses. "Where is she?" he demanded, the king's son ready to save his lost queen. "Downtown," the man urged, urgency dripping from his tone. "No," David interrupted, a deep-rooted instinct roaring to life within him. His fingers clenched the bench, nails biting into the wood. "You don't just drag him into this. This isn't his fight." Trump locked eyes with David, searching for something. "I have the resources to help," he insisted, desperation flickering through his bravado. The crowd watched, rapt, breaths held like the city itself was waiting. "Help?" David spat, anger rising. "You think you can fix this with money? You don't even know her!" But Trump stepped forward, fiery determination replaced by cool logic. Neither do you. If she's in danger, we have to act. Together. It echoed, a shared plea for the truth, tangled with the sharpness of the night. The world spun faster, tension fraying. Let's go, now, the man urged, panic lurking beneath his voice. David hesitated, his heart raced, pulsing with dread. Should he trust this man? This brother? But the thought of his mother, of a life shattered by silence, made a decision surge. Let's go, he said, voice steadying. But you follow my lead. As they turned to flee down the street, the crowd parted, eyes wide, capturing the drama unfolding before them. The millionaire, the forgotten artist, and a shared path to a life they never knew. And just as they vanished into the night, a distant scream shattered the air, igniting an electric spark of fear that crackled through the night, a harbinger of the chaos about to unfold. The city held its breath. A moment stretched, an electric stillness. Trump's smile faltered, lost between disbelief and curiosity. But before he could respond, another voice cut through the tension like glass shattering. A piercing scream. David, no! A woman rushed into the frame, her face ashen, eyes wild. She was striking, almost ethereal, with hair like midnight waves framing her sharp features. The crowd parted for her like water, drawn to the chaos she brought. Mom! David's breath hitched, shock surging through him. He hadn't seen her in years, hadn't dreamed she'd show up here, now. Get away from him! She pointed accusingly at Trump, hands trembling. Anger churned in her voice, a storm brewing. He's not who you think he is! Suspicion replaced confusion on Trump's face. What do you mean, who I think I am? Listen, he doesn't deserve a brother, she shouted, each word heavy with pain. He's the reason we lost everything. The reason your father... Stay out of this, David barked, heart racing, fear igniting in the pit of his stomach. What secrets lurked in that shadowy past she threatened to reveal? The crowd buzzed, electrified. Who was this woman? What's the truth behind their connection? Eyes darted among weary witnesses, whispers bouncing like echoes. Mom, please, David implored. He could feel the weight of 100 worlds crashing down. Not here, not now. But she didn't listen. You think this man cares? He only wants to use you. He wants to cut you into pieces like he cut Daddy. Her voice trembled, emotion spiraling around each syllable. Gasps drowned the city sounds, the laughter of diners, the whoosh of traffic, as all eyes flipped back to Trump. His steely gaze simmered, but there was something else. Something exposed. Cut your father? What the hell are you talking about? Trump's tone turned dangerous. Your father's death was no accident. You know that, she shouted, voice shaking. People edged back, reality shifting like shifting sand. David's heart dropped, a blank void where memories promised warmth. I don't understand what you're saying, he croaked, voice a whisper. But the truth loomed overhead like a storm cloud about to break. His mother turned to him, tears spilling over, voice raw. You were never just a painter, David. Your father was more tangled in this world than you or I ever knew. And that man, she motioned wildly at Trump, he sold him out. He took our family, turned us into ghosts. Silence fell over the crowd, heavy and suffocating. David held his breath, nerves fraying at the edges. Trump's expression darkened. Anger mixed with something else. Fear? Recognition? That's not true, he managed, tone defensive but shaky. The ground beneath them began to tremble, their lives caught in a tremor of revelations that felt like an earthquake breaking open old wounds. David's world splintered. Everything he thought he knew slipped away, replaced by shadows of betrayal. He stole a glance at his mother. Her anguish mirrored his confusion. Then a siren pierced the night. A flash of red and blue lights cutting through the dark. A police car screeched to a halt, not far away. Paramedics spilled out, their faces set in determination. "Mom, we need to go," David urged, panic and urgency swelling within him. But she stood frozen, gazing at Trump as if unearthing buried flames. "It's time you know what your family really is," she said slowly. As chaos erupted, tension stretched. David was left teetering on the brink of a truth that could shatter all their lives. The city buzzed on, oblivious. David felt the ground quake once more. This was just the beginning. David's heart pounded like a drum, echoing in the tense silence hanging between him and Trump. Everything felt electric. The crowd was frozen like deer caught in headlights. Trump's mouth opened, a rustle in the back, murmurs rippling through the gathering. And then, suddenly, a woman's scream pierced the tension. "Stop! Don't you dare!" Everyone turned, startled, as a figure burst onto the scene. A woman, fierce and wild-eyed, barreled through the crowd. Her hair frizzed like a storm cloud, and her once stylish dress hung from her body like it had seen better days. "David, no!" she shouted, scrambling toward them. "What the hell?" Trump snapped, his usual bravado slipping. He squinted at the woman, confusion mingling with his annoyance. David's eyes narrowed. "Maya? What are you doing here?" The sharpness of his voice cut through the chaos. He hadn't seen her in years. Their paths had diverged long ago, tangled in the threads of their shared past. "I came to protect you," she cried, her voice trembling. She glared at Trump, rage boiling beneath the surface. "You don't know him! He's not who he claims to be!" The crowd gasped, a collective intake of air, tension crackling like a live wire. David's doubt clawed at him. He turned back to Trump, whose expression was now a tight mask of confusion and irritation. "What do you mean? What do you know?" David's mind raced, trying to understand. The confrontation felt like a rush of cold water, a shock that numbed his resolve. Maya took a step closer, willing to share whatever dark truth she was clinging to. "David, there's something you've never been told. It's not just about blood. Not with him." Trump's face twisted in frustration. "What are you trying to say?" His spotlight moment had turned into a nightmare, and he was losing control. He wasn't accustomed to being challenged, especially not in front of such a crowd. Maya pressed on, each word biting through the tension. "You've been searching for family, but what if I told you that he's kept secrets?" "Secrets about your mother, about us?" The city around them faded, honking cars and flashing lights blurring into a dull backdrop. David's heart sank, confusion mixing with anger. "What secrets?" he croaked. Maya's gaze darted, haciendo a la calle reacción. "You shouldn't trust him. He's got a history, a dark past that connects them all, one that puede arruinar a todo. Rumores separaron el público, gasps turned into whispers, whispers into rising speculation. What's she saying? Is that true? The clamor rose like a wave, crashing against the shores of sanity. "Shut it!" Trump barked, insecurity splintering his composure. His certainty faltered, and for the first time, he looked vulnerable, like a king whose crown was slipping. A cacophony of emotions washed over David. Hurt, betrayal, clarity. He searched Trump's face, expecting to find a denial, a rebuttal. But the man stood rigid, eyes darting, haunted. Then, as if the universe had decided to pull the rug out from under them, a distant explosion rang out, shaking the very ground they stood on. Fire lit up the night sky, and the crowd gasped again, hearts racing, panic taking hold. People screamed, dove, and scattered. "Get down!" Someone shouted. Chaos erupting. David spun, chest heaving, instinct screaming. In that moment, everything blurred. Was this an attack? A moment of fate unfolding? His entire life was connected, intertwining with the dark secrets Maya hinted at. And then he looked back to Trump. Their worlds colliding. "Tell me the truth!" David yelled above the chaos. But the question hung heavy, unanswered, just as another shockwave hit them all. What lies ahead? What past would unravel in the flames? The night swallowed them whole, whispers mingling with panic, ties pulling apart in a world that suddenly felt so much bigger and darker. David's heart raced, and he felt the world tilt beneath him. His mother's fierce eyes smoldered with anger, pointing at Trump, the man he had just confronted. Everything was spiraling. The crowd around them was now a sea of anticipation and confusion, straining to catch what was unfolding. Two brothers, bound by blood, caught in a whirlwind of family secrets, threatening to tear them apart. The distant explosion shook the earth, reverberating in David's bones as he turned back to find Trump, whose calm mask had slipped, now replaced with uncertainty. "Head her away from me," Trump barked, frustration simmering beneath his surface. His gaze darted through the chaos, searching for allies amidst the murmurs that crept along the sidewalk like wary shadows. And then, like thunderclouds gathering, Maya's words echoed in David's mind, warning him of treachery. But before he could process what that meant, cries erupted again, louder, more desperate. "Look out!" someone shouted from the E. They all jerked, startled. David whipped around just in time to see a man charging through the throng, his presence alarming and wild-eyed. "Get down!" he screamed, raising something metallic in his hand, a flash of silver beneath the streetlights. Panic washed over David like ice water. "What's happening?" he shouted, but it was too late. The chaos exploded. The crowd surged backward, flesh against flesh. Then the gun went off. A deafening blast pierced the air, a sound that split the night. David felt as if all the air had been sucked from his lungs. He ducked, instinctively falling to the ground. People screamed, some hit the pavement, others stumbled in terror. Shadows of bodies blurred as they scrambled to escape. "No!" David cried out, feeling the heat of panic flash through him. He turned, searching for his mother, Maya, Trump. They were all in the eye of this storm. The man with the gun was in the center of it all, eyes blazing with derangement. "Stay back!" he shouted, his voice cracking with desperation. Suddenly, amidst the chaos and the smoke, a figure stepped forward, tall and commanding. A woman with defiant features and an unwavering gaze, standing like a pillar against the storm. David blinked, and for a moment, he thought he was hallucinating. Her voice rang through the din, clear and cutting as a knife. Enough! The crowd fell quiet, shock straining their faces. I didn't want it to come to this, but you leave me no choice, she continued. Her eyes homed in on Trump, unwavering. You were never meant to forget. You've let greed blind you to everything else. The tension was palpable. David felt the urge to move, his body on fire with fear, a primal instinct gripping him, but he just stared. This woman, she was more than familiar. She looked like him, a reflection of past struggles, memories waiting to flood back. David's heart sank. Mom? He gasped. The surroundings faded, people unsure how to react. Only the weight of her presence shifting the very atmosphere. David, she said softly, the hint of a tremor in her voice breaking through the shock. I've come to get you. We need to leave. The man with the gun faltered, hesitation weaving through his expression. The chaos tilted, turning into quiet anticipation. What do you mean? Trump demanded, still caught in disbelief. This isn't just about blood. This is about survival. The diary holds everything. The connections, the secrets that have been ripped apart by greed and betrayal, she replied, voice steady but urgent. The crowd edged back, whispers igniting curiosity and dread. What secrets? Someone called, fingers trembling, phones raised for snapshots of the drama. Your father. He connected more than you know, she said, eyes flickering between David and Trump. There are powers at play, and it all leads back to you. David's stomach twisted. Then, an electric jolt shot through the air. Like a dam breaking, the truth surged forth. All he thought he knew was peeling away. Layers of family and secrets unraveling in front of him. In that moment, another deafening shot rang out. Not from the man with the gun, but from behind Trump. David turned, frozen in place, eyes wide. Someone had pulled the trigger, and it sent ripples of fear through him. As he watched Trump stagger back, blood painting the crisp night air crimson. No! David screamed, heart in his throat. The world spun, reality twisting like a knife. A gaping wound ripped open in the tense web of connection. As Trump fell to the ground, the atmosphere shifted. David realized everything was tied up in blood. Secrets, betrayal, devastating truths. Before he could move, panic surged anew. The night crackled with energy, heavy with uncertainty and chaos. Questions hung like smoke. Poe fired the shot. What truth would be revealed next? What would come crashing down? The sirens screamed louder now, and David felt the earth quake beneath him. Each echo pulling them deeper into an unknown darkness. What devastating threads bound them all together? What revelations lay ahead? As the truth boiled to the surface, the world held its breath, and David was left wondering who could be trusted now. David's heart pounded in his chest, an urgent drumbeat echoing in the charged silence. Trump's shocked gaze flickered from the crowd to the woman, his mother, still standing tall, defiance shining in her eyes. The world seemed to teeter on the edge of a precipice, each heartbeat counting down to something yet to erupt. Then came the gunfire, that sickening crack, echoing off the buildings, shattering the night. Dot, dot. David froze, breath caught in his throat as Trump staggered backward, eyes wide with disbelief, hands pressed to the wound blossoming on his side. Panic ignited like wildfire. The crowd screamed, a living organism uncoiling in terror. "Get down!" someone shouted, and chaos erupted anew. Maya shrieked as she ducked, pulling David down with her. The ground felt gritty against his palms, heart racing in primal instinct. "We need to go! Now!" she yelled, urgency pouring from her voice as bodies surged around them, desperate, scared. "Mom!" David shouted, but he could barely hear himself over the clamor. People were running, pushing, shoving. Fear turned the crowd into a mob, seeking safety from the unknown threat. His eyes desperately searched for her, but the scene blurred into chaos, all sound a cacophony of panic, and then a light shone through the pandemonium, blinding against the night sky. A helicopter? Its blades whirred, slicing the air, illuminating the chaos below. David squinted against the brightness, a spotlight sweeping across the crowd. But the light brought more than clarity. It brought a stark revelation. "Run!" someone screamed, and David felt himself being swept along by the tide of bodies. But amidst the pushing and shoving, he caught a glimpse. There, in the chaos, was the man, the one with the gun. He was scrabbling backward, face twisted with fear. But it wasn't directed at Trump. No, it was aimed at something else entirely. Something behind Trump. The sudden realization twisted in David's gut, nausea pooling deep. "Get back!" the man shouted, voice tinged with desperation. "They're coming! You don't understand!" "What do you mean?" David yelled, just as Trump's voice rang out, his authority breaking through the chaos. "Who are you?" And then it happened. Something shocking. Something that turned the night on its head. A figure emerged from the shadows, stepping out of the darkness behind Trump. Tall, imposing, the face familiar, yet twisted with malice. David stiffened, heart racing as if it would burst free. "Father?" The words slipped from David's lips like a gasp. "No!" Maya shouted, eyes wide, disbelief spilling from her voice. "That can't be!" But there he stood, David's father, a man thought long gone, yet somehow here. Fear burned in the air, mingling with something deeper, threatening to consume them all. "I came back for you," his father announced, voice chillingly calm, eyes scanning the crowd, then locking on to Trump with a hatred David had never seen before. "It's time to settle the past." David was left reeling, the ground beneath him shifting again. "What do you want?" David cried out, confusion mingling with anger, demanding answers in a world that had just twisted into something unimaginable. His father didn't respond right away, allowing the tension to thicken like a noose. "You're in danger. This truth, it's alive. They can't silence it any longer." The crowd murmured, sickly sweet gossip wafting like poison, tension rippling in waves. Suddenly, from behind, sirens blared with renewed urgency, closer now, drowning out reason, a storm of flashing lights approaching. David's pulse raced, questions swirling like a tempest. The night felt thicker, darker. What was happening? Trust evaporated in the chaos, replaced by raw fear. "Stay back!" The man with the gun screamed again, stepping protectively in front of David. David didn't know who to trust, who to believe. The ground trembled beneath him as he faced a labyrinth of secrets and betrayal. His family tangled in knots that were suffocating. What did it all mean? What had he stumbled into? And amongst all this uncertainty, David felt the fragility of their lives, teetering on the edge of revelation, waiting for the next twist to unravel everything he thought he knew. David felt like the ground was slipping away beneath him. Everything he thought he knew was unraveling, and the chaos roared around them. "What do you want from us?" he shouted, fists clenched, heart racing. His father stood there, eyes dark and stormy, a shadowy figure from his past. "David, listen to me," his father urged, desperation breaking through the anger. "It's all tangled up. The diary, the family, it's vital we face this together." "Together?" David snapped, disbelief flooding through him. "You abandoned us. How can you even say that?" Trump staggered back, clutching his wound, confusion mixed with anger and pain. "Enough of this!" he roared, voice wavering. "We can't let this escalate." Fear gripped David's chest as he realized how close they were to losing everything. But then his mother spoke, steady and fierce, drawing attention away from the chaos. "The truth needs to come to light. We cannot hide any longer." As if awakening something deep within, the crowd held its breath. Lights from the sirens flashed, illuminating the scene, casting shadows like ghosts against the pavement. "Why now?" David asked, his voice hoarse, searching his mother's face for answers. "Why reveal this all tonight?" "Because you need to understand that family is more than blood. It's about trust, loyalty. We've been shattered for too long," she replied, passion shining in her words. "And that diary, it connects us all. It's time to stop running." Panic rippled through the crowd, whispers rising like a tide. "What's in that diary?" someone shouted. The man with the gun, trembling, stepped forward. "Listen! We have to act before it's too late." His eyes darted, and just like that, the threat behind him felt more overwhelming. David's pulse quickened, not just from fear, but the instinct to protect his family, this fragile bond forming amidst the chaos. "Stop!" he yelled, voice slicing through the chaos, holding back the surge. "We can't let this divide us any further." Moments hung, electric with tension, as if time had paused. David met Trump's gaze. "You want to know the truth? Let's face it together. All of us," Trump faltered, eyes narrowing. He finally saw the urgency. "What do you mean, together?" "It means stripping away the lies and facing what's left. No more hiding," David said, voice full of resolve. His father stepped closer, hands raised in surrender. "I want to help, David, but the danger is still out there." A hush enveloped the crowd. They can feel it, the weight of unspoken connections. "What if we transform this moment into strength?" David suggested, heart pounding. Trump nodded, an unexpected glimmer of understanding blossoming. "Fine, but we need to leave now." The sirens wailed, closer than ever, the urgency of their situation crashing over them. David's mother reached for him, pulling him into a fierce embrace. "Whatever happens, know this. You are never alone," she said, her eyes shining with fierce love. And just like that, the tidal wave of chaos shifted. They were bound by blood, secrets. But more importantly, they were bound by a fierce desire to reclaim their lives. Together, as they turned to escape, shadows of doubt still lurked, but what lay ahead would determine everything. Would they uncover the truth buried in the past, or would the danger consume them? David took a deep breath, ready to face whatever came next. They had a chance to rewrite their stories. But one thing was clear: this battle for their legacy, this was just the beginning. And now, listen closely. You have to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the upcoming exclusive stories that dive even deeper into these revelations. Smash the like button now to feed the algorithm so more people can see this story unfold. Flood the comment section with your reactions and theories about this mind-blowing ending. And please, share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see this ending and join our community. Don't wait even a second longer to share. Your support is what keeps this channel alive.